Josipovic was a fighter that when I first arrived in LA and I looked at all the fighters who were registered to fight in the light heavyweight division, I had known a lot of them from world tournaments. I'd boxed some of them. I was ranked higher than most of the fighters there. I think I came into the Olympics with a world ranking of either 4 or 5. Looking at the Yugoslav fight, that was what I did. Was I sat down, I looked at, before the draw came out, all the guys who I'd like to be drawn against, and he was one of the guys that I wanted to fight first up. So I didn't look at him as a major threat. But he had performed, he was a good puncher. He had performed really well to work his way through to the semi-finals and winning the final by a walkover. I was actually, at the time, winning my first 3 fights and guaranteeing me a bronze. I was, pretty happy with what I had achieved, because I knew it was history making. And I was happy, not so much for myself, but I was very happy for my father, who was the Olympic coach, for my mother, who was there with me, the sacrifices that they had made for many years to get me to this position. Both in countless hours, but the raising of money to send me to world tournaments. You don't just get to go to the Olympic Games. It's a big process, and the 2 to 3 years leading up to that, I spent a lot of time traveling around the world, fighting all the top guys. So I was very happy for them. But I was very bitter and disappointed the way things worked out for me in the semi-final fight. And it took me some time. When I say some time, it took me a couple of years actually to come to grips with what had actually happened. I was a very proud guy, and I felt like I'd won a fight against Evander where I wasn't winning the fight. But I was proud of what I achieved. And then when the media turmoil that it caused in America, it took me by surprise, and it was something that took me a couple of years to come to grips with mentally. He hit me after the break. There was 6 seconds left in the second round, and the referee said stop, and I stopped and foolishly put my hands down, and Evander threw a left hook, and then for the first time in my 16-year career, I was sitting on my backside just looking out, thinking, wow, this is different. I haven't sort of been here before. And I got up at the count of 3 and was a little unsteady on my feet, and the referee counted to 10 and waved the fight off. And after that, all turmoil broke loose. The referee, the Yugoslavian referee, disqualified Evander, which was probably the right call at the time, but it was something that, I was going very good against the world #1. I was losing the fight, but thought I was hanging in there, and so I was very disappointed the way that fight ended. But history's a magic thing, and it actually, that particular year, the Americans won 6 gold medals. Evander won a bronze. He got more acclaim than any of the gold medalists, and it skyrocketed him into his professional career, and it was a launching pad for him. While I was in LA, I was offered $250,000 to stay in LA. I'd been given a 28-day stand down. I was offered $250,000 to stay in LA and be Evander Holyfield's first professional opponent, because of the controversy, because of what the injustice that this fighter of New Zealand had done to the American #1, who was the standout fighter. The 3 fights leading up to the semi-final that I'd won all by points, he'd won all by knockout. So he was he was the most exciting fighter in the American team because of his style, and everyone's, because of his style, he looked like he was really going to be suited to the professional ranks. So they thought, there's no better way than to fight Barry in our first pro fight. So my dad, who is a wonderful man, not a businessman. My dad goes, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go back to New Zealand, because it was really big news here, and there was a lot of people in New Zealand who, as many Americans were upset about the outcome, there was as many New Zealanders upset about the outcome as well. So he said, let's go back home and we'll evaluate things. And of course, I never turned professional, never had a professional fight, and that opportunity went by. But realistically, if you could do it all again, that's something that I remember at that particular stage of my life. I was living in a rented flat in Sherbourne Street in Christchurch, and my younger brother Brian had already bought his second home. So financially I was well set back because of all this travel that I'd done around the world, and it's an opportunity that many times I sort of look back on and think, I should have taken that fight. That was a lot of money at the time. Yeah.